Let me ask you a question. Why did the CIA torture people, lie about it, and then hide it from history?
After 9/11, everyone was scared. Scared it might happen again.
We need to stop attacks in the future.
And we are in whatever business it takes to get the job done.
Find out exactly what they did.
One detainee, they waterboarded him 183 times.
If it works, why do you need to do it 183 times?
Maybe when the report comes out, people will finally see that.
They claim they saved lives, but what they really did was make it impossible to prosecute a mass murderer, because if what we did to him ever came out in the court of law, the case is over. The guy planned 9/11.
The CIA said the program wouldn't cause lasting harm. So how long is Gul Rahman going to be dead for?
This question isn't about our enemies. It's about us.
I would like us to be more than the country that did the report. I'd like us to be the country that made it public. We will not allow this to be covered up.
Scott, it's so interesting to me that you take something like a 525-page report cut down from 7,000 pages on the CIA's detention and interrogation program and make a hell of a thriller. What was the challenge? Did it start out that way for you? I heard it was going to be something different at first.
It was at one point going to be a comedy that sort of dealt more with the two psychologists who created the program. But then I met Daniel Jones, who wrote the Senate report, and the movie sort of evolved into being the story of a guy trying to tell a very important story about, what happened in our country after 9/11 and what the CIA did.
Yeah, it's amazing. We're seeing more movies, and The Whistleblower is now like every day we hear the term 10, 12 times, and we're seeing that creep into a lot of movies, like one guy working on something so diligently, and here he is in this movie in a basement basically for 5 years, putting together this thing. Well, this is all illegal in this country. It's sort of astounding now, what's going on and what's being hidden, and it takes the movies to sort of unveil it in a way here.
Well, I do think we're living through a time that's sort of a crisis of accountability, and people have forgotten the fact that the way our government was set up, that Congress is supposed to provide oversight on the executive branch of the government, and we're seeing that play out right now. So I think a lot of the seeds of this moment were sown during the program and during the struggle for Congress to provide oversight on the CIA during this program, which was illegal before they did it.
Wow. Adam, in preparing for this role, you had Daniel Jones, who I've met a couple of times, and he did this. How did he help you in bringing it to the screen? Did you work with him a lot, or what was the process for you there?
Yeah, we talked on and off for I think the few months leading up to shooting it, and Dan was available on set, but knew when to kind of assert himself if there ever turned out to be like we were doing a TV movie version of what those windowless rooms were. He was very helpful and just adding a level of authenticity to what the set was. And then there's just, as you said, when you met him, there's a decorum to him that I tried to take away, that I understood that he was doing a job that he didn't know was going to add up to as long as it was. And it's not his responsibility to present his opinions. He can't just burst into a room and shout what he believes. He has to maintain a level of decorum as a Senate staffer. There's a chain of command for a reason that he kind of has to follow. So that was, and he's very good at diplomatically arguing his points in a way that seems fair and balanced, but at the same time making sure that everything is grounded in fact. And that was, I think, rare to meet in someone.
John, you're playing the chief of staff to the president. I hear that job may be open again soon.
Yeah, they called me.
It's an important story, no question about it. What about struck you in doing this film?
I think what I responded to was, first of all, the fact that this is essentially a biopic about a 7,000-page Senate intelligence report, but it's somehow, as you pointed out in your introduction, it's compelling and it's entertaining story, which is credit to Scott's writing, as well as Adam's performance and everybody in it. But what I really took away from it is this is an example of government working, of like why we have these rules and why we are supposed to follow them, and why when we break them, there are, as Scott was saying, consequences. Again, is it perfect? No. My character in the film says it. You know, democracy is messy. And as Adam was saying, when you speak to the real life Dan Jones, he gets that too. But it's a process that we have to respect. And this movie is about respecting the process of our government and why it's become the paragon of what it is to run a country for 200 and some odd years. So for me as a proud American, I was pleased to be part of this story that basically, in a nonpartisan way, and to be the person who has to kind of be the bridge between the Bush-Cheney era and the Obama era and kind of appease both sides. But in a nonpartisan way, say like, this is an example of it working. This is why we have this long list of words called the Constitution, and why we're supposed to follow it.
Jennifer, this was one of the biggest sales ever at the Sundance Film Festival when it was showing. I mean, people were really moved by it. Amazon picked it up, and it's going to be seen by a lot of people because of that, because in addition to playing in theaters, it's going to be streamed, and that brings you a worldwide audience. Can you talk about the nuts and bolts of getting this made in such a short time and on the budget that you had?
Well, it wasn't such a short time. Scott and I have been working on it for 5 years before we got to the point of being able to make it.
I'm just thinking shooting days.
Oh, well, that was very short.
How long?
It was 26 days. We had $8 million. Everybody had to do it for essentially free, either scale because they had to make scale, or in the case of Scott, exactly. But in the case of Scott, the DGA says you have to pay someone scale. He said, I'm going to give it back. I'm going to put it on screen. So we all did it because we believed in it so much. And it had been a much bigger schedule and budget in a previous incarnation, and we had to just keep going. No one wanted to stop. There were a million reasons this film should not and could not have been made, but we just had to persist.